So let's talk about ROI. Some people in our industry get up and say, oh, it's soft, it's relationships, it's all those benefits I talked about, you can't measure it, let's not have ROI. Okay, I'm the longest standing social media company, that's just total BS, you should have ROI, we're doing this for business reasons, you can have ROI. At least you should try. It's new, it's still a young industry, we're working on the measures, but that's kind of true for a lot of other marketing ROI measures. So you can do it, and you should manage with that in mind. And here are just 5 models. Number 1, social media statistics, likes, talking about, followers, things like that. Key thing here to understand is just building up a bunch of fans and followers isn't enough. You have to do it, so you have somebody to work with, but that in itself doesn't do anything for you. It's kind of a vanity metric. You want people to engage. So you really want to look at what levels of engagement you have, how many people you're engaging with, where that's going. So just getting lots of fans by itself isn't enough. In fact, a lower number of fans with a higher engagement level is more valuable and a better ROI than a lot of fans with a low engagement level. But it varies on what you're doing. 2, marketing statistics, basic awareness, loyalty, brand recall, things like that. One that we really like is marketing equivalency, because you can look at this really easily with your budgets. We borrow this from PR friends who had the same issue when everybody said, well, how many people saw my ad? And PR doesn't run ads. So one thing you can do is say, we spent this amount of money on the social media program, how many people did we reach, and what would have that cost if we did a regular advertising program? And we have one case example with a really big client where we ran a holiday program for them. The social media part was about $200,000. And then we looked at, how many people did we reach? And how many was it just like a little message? And how many was it deep engagement? And then we said, well, what would that have cost to do in regular advertising? The equivalent of this $200,000. It was over $2 million. This had a 10 times ROI. Now, what's nice about this one is you do this, you quantify it, you track it, it's not that hard. Then you take it to your CMO or CEO and said, I just saved $1.8 million. You can keep $1 million for profit or other programs or what you want, and give me another $800,000 for the social media program, and maybe one of our nice agency vendors that told us how to do it. Insight. This may be the most powerful thing you can do. For years and years and years, we have all kinds of surveys and research and demographics and psychographics and everything imaginable to try to figure out what our customers are thinking and what to do about it. In social media, it's right in front of you. They're talking all about you right in front of you, if you do it right, like I've been talking about. So here you can learn a lot. Let's give an example. Sun Microsystems, we did a bunch of work for them a number of years ago that was around open source developers. And they and IBM and Microsoft were all developing these tools in a big race for open source developers. So we went and did a listening project to see what were the open source developers talking about. None of them were talking about these tools. They were talking about a completely different set of tools that nobody was making for them. Sun saw that, reallocated their budgets, changed their strategy, started developing those tools, jumped way out in front of Microsoft and IBM and that whole big business just because of that one realization. Let me give you another example that I just saw the CMO of General Mills talk about 3 weeks ago. From social media, they found that Pillsbury Boy and the little baking dough, and you make the croissants, which was a brand that was getting tired, and the commercials and everything in the marketing everywhere. Look at the crispy, little flaky croissant you can make. It was a product message. And they found in social media that their customers, moms and families, were playing with the dough with their kids. And that there was an emotional experience the customers were getting that had nothing to do with the product features really, but it was really important to them. So they recrafted the entire marketing. If you see any commercials for it now, you'll see it's mom making a little mustache out of the dough and putting it on the kid, and then laying it out, and then they go cook it. So that changed the entire product positioning from look at my features to a purpose-driven approach of emotional branding, and all the commercials and everything are around that. And they did that with Cheerios and everything because of insights they saw on social media. Number 4, relationship building. American Express did a study at the end of 2012 that said a positive experience of customer support on social media causes people to tell 43 other people. A negative, they tell 52 other people. That's a 95-point word-of-mouth spread as people build out your relationships positively or negatively. Now let's look at revenue, because everybody wants that. Can you get revenue? Yes, you can get revenue. And the way you know that is because that same American Express study said the positive people spent 21% more money. Another study by Mr. Youth and Agency a couple holiday seasons ago showed that retailers, for every online interaction they had, 80% of them resulted in an actual sale. And we have tracked this with our clients. We had one travel company, and we did online community on their website. They booked $5 million in incremental sales out of the social activity, right out of it. That's not counting people who left and came back somewhere else. And I can guarantee you this thing cost them a lot less than $5 million to do. And one way you can track all this stuff is to do what you do with other media forms. Measure it before and after in the control groups. People don't seem to do that with social media. And I figured out why. The people that know how to do that tracking, before and after and all that, they sit on this floor, and the social media marketing people sit on another building on another floor. So you can go back to your companies and call a meeting with those two sets of people, and now you can track all this and show the ROI. It'll be great.